Hi, Carl. So if you guys join me already, can you just confirm that the sound is okay? I can't believe I'm actually 4 minutes early. Woohoo! This is a first. Okay, let's just wait a couple of minutes. In the meantime, whoever is watching, please let me know if you can hear okay. Hello, JD. Thank you for joining. Can you hear me, JD? Great. Perfect, perfect. Finally, from the first try. Usually there is always something wrong whenever I try to go live. So today, as I said, we will be talking about, you already know, the most disgusting quotes in Kate McCann's book. And I am talking about this book, Madeleine by Kate McCann, which was published on May the 12th, 2011, on Maddie's 8th birthday. I'm pretty sure that you guys are already aware. J.K. Rowling, who is the Harry Potter author as well, gave Kate advice and support as she wrote the details of the night her daughter vanished from their holiday apartment on the Algarve in Portugal. And Kate McCann said in an article, and I want to quote here, "My reason for writing is simple, to give an account of the truth. Publishing this book has been a very difficult decision and is one that we have taken after much deliberation and with a very heavy heart. However, with the depletion of Madeleine's fund, the decision has been taken out of our hands. Every penny we raise through its sales will be spent on our search for Madeleine. Nothing is more important to us than finding our little girl." Then Jerry added, "We are hopeful this book may help the investigation to find Madeleine. Our hope is that the book may prompt those who have relevant information to come forward and share it. Somebody holds that key piece of the jigsaw." And this is end of quote. This is taken from a media article when Kate and Jerry were in an interview. It seems that J.K. Rowling was heavily involved in the search for Madeleine since she disappeared in May 2007. The writer even offered the reported £1 million reward to find Madeleine. She also donated to the fund set up to help with the search, as they say, as they claim. And J.K. Rowling arranged for a poster featuring Madeleine to be made available to book retailers across the globe. And in November 2010, she helped Kate and Jerry to secure their book deal. She suggested they use her own literary agent, Christopher Little, who arranged a publishing contract with Transworld. Now, maybe you are not aware of this, but J.K. Rowling is, I don't know if she still is, but at the time of Madeleine's disappearance and at the time when this book was a good friend of Gordon Brown. So honestly, it's not even surprising that she also made significant donations to the fund and supported the McCanns from the beginning in their campaign. In 2008, J.K. Rowling even donated £1 million to the Labour Party campaign. Now, the same book of Kate's, Madeleine, serialized in Rupert Murdoch's Sun newspaper for around £1 million. But the big but is that allegedly the McCanns only agreed to push for a case review. And of course, any news articles wouldn't be against the McCanns, as it happened and it keeps happening. Now, Tony Blair is the godfather of Rupert Murdoch's daughter. Matthew Fraud, the son of Clement Fraud, is Rupert Murdoch's son-in-law. Okay? Gordon Brown's brother, Andrew Brown, is the media strategist at EDF, the company which operates the 8 most modern nuclear power stations in Britain. He was closely involved in lobbying his brother's government. EDF is, is the company which is the largest producer of electrical power. It is a state-owned company mainly, but it's also mainly around 85% of the company is based on nuclear power. And it's also the biggest supplier of electrical power in Britain. EDF were lobbying to build nuclear power stations in Britain at Hinkley Point, wanted to restart the nuclear power plant building program in Britain. Brown's brother Andrew was associated with Jerry McCann through Comare. And honestly, there are a lot more connections in my research, but the connections in our future lives. For now, let's just get on with the quotes from the book. But before we do that, I just want to quickly catch up on the comments, if there are any. I can see that there's no new comment on here. Okay, that's fine. So anyway, I know, JD, that you were the one who requested me quite some time ago when I was reading Gonzalo Amaral's book to try and read Kate Mccann's book. Unfortunately, I did my research and I will not be able to read Kate Mccann's book, Madeleine. I won't even be able to show you guys any sort of screenshots or any photos from the book because, well, firstly, I don't have the book, okay? But secondly, Kate Mccann threatened legal action against anyone who posts extracts from Madeleine's book. And this, she threatened legal action in 2017. And according to the Sun newspaper, the message was posted by the official Find Maddie campaign Facebook page, which both Kate and husband Jerry McCann are endorsing. So the Facebook post reads, according to the Sun, Kate's publisher has notified Facebook and other social media networks of the links and people engaging in this illegal activity. You risk having your Facebook account terminated and could face prosecution brought by the publisher. Downloading and sharing copyrighted material is illegal. So, funny enough, I tried myself to actually find this post on Facebook, but guess what? What usually happens when you try to find something? It's gone. I just couldn't find the post. But as far as this article is concerned, they are threatening legal action against anyone who is trying to share, screenshot, or, show extracts from the book. So unfortunately, I'm not able to do that. I can talk to you about the quotes and read you the most disgusting quotes, but I won't be able to show you anything. Even by doing this, talking about it, I'm not even sure if do I break any copyright law or not. I have no idea. I'm still going to try anyway. So yeah, I was actually quite surprised when I did my research around this book to find this article saying that they threatened legal action. But on the other side, I wasn't very surprised because we know who they are. They are the McCanns. So yeah. So the best I can do for you guys is read you the quotes and then we can have a conversation around these quotes. Okay, starting with page 1. The reason for writing this is simple: to give an account of the truth. It has always been my intention to set down a complete record of the truth. So what we can tell from this is that Kate Mccann is introducing the reasons why she wrote the book, and she's saying that this is just to give an account, of the truth. So I don't know. In my honest opinion, if someone wants to give an account of the truth, like she mentioned previously as well in so many different interviews, that she wants to give her version of events, well, as far as I'm concerned, that if you are telling the truth, there is only one version of events, and that's the truth, not a version of the truth, not a sequence of events, but the only events and the only truth that was. So honestly, if any of you have managed to catch up on the most interesting things found in the book, the truth is in the book. Honestly, the truth of what happened is in the book. Like I like to call them, and like Peter Hyatt is calling them in his analysis of the McCann's interview, embedded confessions. They are in the book. You just need to listen and pay attention to what you're reading, because the confessions are in the book. So yeah. Then I want to move on the second page. Yet publishing the truth is fraught with risks for our family. It lays us open to more criticism for a start. Well, criticism anyway can be expected when you come out with a book like that, and when you are perceived as a negligent parent, which at least also as from all the information we have available, they were somehow involved in Madeleine's disappearance. Risks for their family, I am not quite so sure, because honestly they have been protected. They even had escorts escorting them wherever they went. They even had helicopters over their head, making sure that they are being monitored when they drive. I'm not sure, I've read that somewhere, but I'm not sure in which country they were, but they even had the helicopter escort just to make sure that they are safe on the road. So I don't know what kind of risks they are talking about, because the only risks that they did was what they did themselves. And people would criticize you only if you did something wrong. Definitely they did something wrong. They did so many things wrong, and they keep doing them. And also they are not trying at all to get people to know the truth. So this is another one. Then I want to move on to page 3. The sacrifice of our privacy has been another concern. Given the choice, we would prefer to sink back into anonymity. So, this kind of defeats the purpose, because they were the ones who called on the press and the media. So I don't know why they want to sink back into anonymity. They want to be anonymous now after they made so much money. Honestly, I don't really buy this. I think that they planned this way ahead, even with the press and everything, and maybe that they didn't expect this much press and this much attention, and for them to be in the spotlight for so many years. But hey, once you start with this, then you have to go on the same road. On page 4, the most interesting thing that's being said is what tipped the balance in our decision is the continuing need to fund the search for Madeleine. There you have it. There's another one here. So they had the continuing need to fund the search for Madeleine. Obviously, it's always been about this, wasn't it? About people donating and things like that, and trying to get as much money as possible. But honestly, I don't think that we've ever given any sort of justification or any proof that this money have actually been spent on helping to find Madeleine. So I'm gonna move on to page 56 here, and they are talking about the tapas booking. It wasn't until a year later, when I was combing through the Portuguese police files, that I discovered that the note requesting our block booking was written in a staff message book, which sat on a desk at the pool reception for most of the day. This book was by definition accessible to all staff and, albeit unintentionally, probably to guests and visitors too. To my horror, I saw that, no doubt in all innocence and simply to explain why she was bending the rules a bit, the receptionist had added the reason for our request. We wanted to eat close to our apartments, as we were leaving our young children alone there and checking on them intermittently. So this is quite telling from my point of view. Do you know why I'm saying it? This is around when they said that anybody could have got the details that the kids are left alone in the apartment because of an error made by the receptionist, where the book with the notes was open and accessible for everyone to see. Now, if you pay attention to what she wrote in her book, this book was by definition accessible to all staff and, albeit unintentionally, probably to guests and visitors too. Do you see how she's trying here to blame the receptionist for being unprofessional? And because the receptionist was unprofessional, someone had access to that book. So someone saw that they left their children alone in the apartment. She's doing this to make sure that people are aware that there was an opportunity for someone to go in the apartment because the booking reception was open, because the receptionist, although unintentionally, she was unprofessional by leaving the book accessible to everyone. This was written very cleverly. Honestly, you don't blame someone directly by saying no, it was intentional, she was doing that on purpose, but you blame someone indirectly, because by them being unprofessional, that's how it ended up with the book being accessible to a possible abductor. Okay, let's move on to page 57. On Tuesday, 1st of May. During Jerry's tennis lesson, Madeleine and Ella came to the adjoining court with their mini club for a mini tennis session. Jane and I stayed to watch them. It chokes me remembering how my heart soared with pride in Madeleine that morning. She was so happy and obviously standing there listening intently to Kat's instructions. She looked so gorgeous in her little t-shirt and shorts, pink hat, ankle socks, and new holiday sandals that I ran back to our apartment for my camera to record the occasion. One of my photographs is known around the world now, a smiling Madeleine clutching armfuls of tennis balls. At the end of their session, the children had been asked to run around the court and pick up as many balls as they could. Madeleine had done really well and was very pleased with herself. Jerry loves that picture. Now we all know about that picture. That is a very famous picture and it traveled all around the world since Madeleine went missing. I honestly think that picture, that particular picture on the tennis court, is not from Portugal. And to me, that girl in the photo looks much older than how Madeline would look at her age. I don't know. I don't know. It's something really off about that photo. But anyway, it's very interesting to see here that the amount of details Kate goes in to describe everything, including, okay, the t-shirts and short pink hat, I got that, but ankle socks, and then even the new holiday sandals, which she bought specifically for this holiday, she makes sure that she is mentioning this as well. I don't know, guys, but I don't know. I don't like this, honestly. I don't. I don't know. What do you guys think? I just don't like it. Oh, but the next thing that I want to read, it is more interesting than the last one. Let's move on here to page 75, Mrs. Fenn. You remember Mrs. Fenn, right? Then a lady appeared on a balcony. I'm fairly certain this was about 11 p.m. before the police arrived, and in a plummy voice inquired, "Can someone tell me what all the noise is about?" I explained as clearly as I was able, given the state I was in, that my little girl had been stolen from her bed, to which she casually responded, "Oh, I see," almost as if she's just been told that a can of beans had fallen off a kitchen shelf. I remember feeling both shocked and angry at this woefully inadequate and apparently unconcerned reaction. I recollect that in our outrage, Fiona and I shouted back something rather short and to the point. So she's talking here about Mrs. Fenn, you know, Mrs. Fenn, the neighbor from upstairs, who heard Madeleine crying the previous night before her disappearance for more than an hour, almost 2 hours, without anyone checking on her. So you see here, Kate again makes sure that even in her book, she is trying to discredit Mrs. Fenn's statement by talking about her in not such a really nice way, and even saying that the lady was not concerned. Yet we also know that when Jerry spoke to the lady, she offered her help, and she also offered her phone. So I honestly don't know, because from one point of view, she was willing to help Jerry, and then from the other point of view, from Kate's book, she wasn't very interested, and she didn't react as she should have reacted in the case of a missing child. I think with Mrs. Fenn, does it possibly have something with her statement? It's quite possible. If Madeleine Mccann was heard crying for more than an hour the night before she went missing, it is quite possible that something happened to her that night, and that's why she was crying for so long, and she was calling daddy, daddy, but maybe she was calling daddy, daddy for help. I don't know. I don't know, but I think that there is a specific reason why in her book, Kate is trying to discredit Mrs. Fenn. Okay, let's move on to page one. Okay, just give me 1 second before I move on. I just want to double check something on here. I'm having an issue, guys, with my streaming software. I don't know if you have um, put down any comments, but just give me a minute or two. I'll double check the settings here because I feel like something is wrong. Okay, it seems to be fine here. I'm just going to double check. Oh no. I'm so sorry, everyone here, and I'm going to catch up on the comments because from my streaming software, I was not getting any comments, so that's why I kept on going. So I do apologize. I had to open a separate tab for YouTube, and I will catch up on the comments right now. I'm sorry about that. Hi, Joe. Thank you so much for joining. Hi, TJ Cook. Hi, Mortimer. Jackie, Carrie, Bernadette, hi Sue, hi Robert, hi Lisa. Let's see if there is any question or any. Let me see if I can. Joe Hexton is saying, "Oh my God, all scratching each other's backs." Of course, definitely. Carrie, I only just got here. Going to have to watch from beginning when you are finished. Yeah, sure. If in the meantime you have any questions, please let me know in the live chat. I'm not sure why I'm not seeing unless I'm on YouTube, so I'll just carry on. JD is saying, why would the Mccanns have a problem telling their side of the story to know the truth? Yes, that was precisely my point as well. Exactly, JD. And the way she phrases it is as if she needs to tell her version of the truth, not the truth. Because if there is a truth, there's only one or his version or her version. There's only one truth. So honestly, it's frustrating. Yes, all is for money. Carrie is saying here an interesting point. So Carrie was mentioning that sandals aren't allowed on the tennis court. Honestly, I have no idea. I've never played tennis. So yeah, well, I did when I was a kid, but those were different times, but not, in these years since I'm an adult, whatever. Never mind, moving on. I have no idea what are the rules. I don't know if maybe in Portugal is different, but I do think that it might have something to do with health and safety. It's probably a health and safety requirement. I'm not quite sure, honestly, unless it's a different policy in different countries. I honestly don't know. But you do have a really good point here. I didn't look into that. I never thought that I should pay attention to her sandals and that she is not allowed to wear them on a tennis court. So he's saying that the picture is fake, I think. I do believe that as well, that it can be fake, yes. Joe Hexton is saying trying to prove the photo was taken that day. Yes, I completely agree. Yes, because that would give them the proof that Madeleine was alive on that day, isn't it? And that's what they needed. Robert is saying Kate is disparaging Mrs. Fenn and the Tapas restaurant receptionist. Yes, I completely agree. She did. Carrie Olson, yes, I agree with you. I agree with you. If she cried the night before, maybe it's when the death happened. Yes, that could have been what happened when it happened, and that's possibly one of the reasons why Kate is trying to discredit Mrs. Fenn. Oh, Jackie is saying here something interesting. Mrs. Fenn perhaps is part of the story. She reported loads of incidences a couple of months after Madeleine's disappearance. I think her role was to spin the abduction theory. Oh, you know what? That sounds plausible, Jackie. And I will actually take you up on that, and I will do a bit of more research into Mrs. Fenn. So yeah, that might be, yes, it is quite possible. Okay, I think we can move to the next. I don't know what's happening with my streaming software. It's not showing me anything new. Can I not refresh it? No, I can't. I might lose the connection if I do. Okay, never mind. I'll just move on to the next chapter that I want to talk about. Okay, let's move on to page 105. I also felt a compulsion to run up to the top of the Roca Negra. Somehow, inflicting physical pain on myself seemed to be the only possible way of escaping my internal pain. The other truly awful manifestation of what I was feeling was a macabre slideshow of vivid pictures in my brain that taunted me relentlessly. I was crying out that I could see Madeleine lying cold and mottled on a big grey stone slab. Looking back, seeing me like this must have been terrible for my friends and relatives, and particularly my parents, but I couldn't help myself. And all this needed to come out. I dread to think what it might have done to me if it hadn't. Oh, this is, oh my God. So I was crying out that I could see Madeleine lying cold and mottled on a big grey stone slab. This right here, it's an indicator, well, in my opinion, that that's exactly where and how Madeleine was. She was lying dead and cold on a stone slab, and she writes it in her book. I don't know if she is unintentionally speaking about the events. She's writing them down in a sense of a story, if you like, because she can't open up herself in reality, and she's trying to create this sort of fiction in everybody's eyes, but deep down it is the truth. Or she feels too guilty that she can't keep it to herself, but she can't take it out because then there will be horrible consequences, but she needs to do something to try and, I don't know, get rid of that guilt. So she's writing it down. Either way it is, I still find that this is a truth of where Madeleine was at one point. So what do you guys think? Let's catch up on the comments. Carl is asking JD, did you see when Sandra asked Jerry? He should have said yes or no. Yes, I think I played the clip in my previous live. Yeah, I did. Yes. I mean, honestly, if someone doesn't know someone, they just say yes or no. It's as simple as that. Do you know him? Yes. Do you know him? No. It's just as simple as that. So I don't know why. I would rather not comment on that. Came from Jerry. It's possible that, like one of the viewers suggested in the live, that perhaps if he says yes, then there will be different implications to it. Then there will come other questions: when, how, and what happened. Blah blah. I don't know what. If he would say no, then probably if something else would come out that he did know Robert Murat, then he would be seen as lying. So, ugh, yes. Okay, let's move on to page 129. I asked Jerry apprehensively if he'd had any really horrible thoughts or visions of Madeleine. He nodded. Haltingly, I told him about the awful pictures that scrolled through my head of her body, her perfect little genitals torn apart. Although I knew I had to share this burden, just raising the subject out loud to someone else, even Jerry, was excruciating. Admitting the existence of these images somehow confirmed them as a real possibility, and with that confirmation came renewed waves of fear. Oh my God, this is the most dreadful one, I think, from the whole book. Her perfect little genitals torn apart. This does not have place in any sort of book. If you, as a parent, as Kate Mccann said, wrote this book specifically for Sean and Emily when they grow up to know their version of the truth, I don't think that these kids right is written in this book. Honestly, it's it's disturbing. It's disturbing, to say the least. It is disturbing. I don't think any brother or sister would enjoy reading something about their siblings' torn genitals. Honestly, it does not make any sense whatsoever. Yes, I understand that you are a doctor and you usually speak in professional terms and whatnot, but you are talking here about your own child. About your own child in the book you wrote, which was supposed to be about Madeleine. But I think that 80%, 80% of this book is hardly anything about Madeleine. It's mostly only about herself and about them and about how they feel and about what they did and what they are doing and about suing people and discrediting people and so on and so forth. But this is so infuriating because how how in God's name would you think that this is appropriate to write in a book, which was supposed to be for your own daughter? I don't know. I don't know. It's just, I don't have any words, honestly. Bernadette, oh my God, there are six sick words. I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. I cannot get them out of my head since I read this the first time. It's still, they're still stuck with me because it's not something that you write in a book about your own child. Carl, I agree. I love coffee so much as well. Yes, I do. Look, that's why I have a huge mug of coffee. No, it shouldn't have been written in a book. I agree, Sue. Yes, it shouldn't have. It's uh, it's just inappropriate. It's inappropriate to say the least. Nobody wants to know about your child's genitals, and specifically if you aim this book at the siblings, especially the siblings. Let's not say about us or anyone else who is reading the book, but the siblings. How would they feel reading this? How would they feel? I'm pretty sure that they wouldn't be happy reading about Madeleine's, intimate parts. Okay, my goodness me. Some things, some people, oh my God. Okay, let's just move on to page 226. I don't know what this is about here. Okay. When I heard that my mom had got wind of the Tal Ekal story and the rumors it had prompted, I phoned her. She was so distraught she could hardly get a word out. I texted DCS Bob Small saying how disappointed I was that the police were claiming Madeleine was dead, without any evidence, and how unsupported we had felt recently. As our main liaison with the British police, Bob was not privy to the investigation details. This was for our protection, he told us, as sharing knowledge we would otherwise not have had could potentially compromise us. In the light of the volume of information being released into the public domain by police sources via the media, this seems farcical now. It did emerge, however, that Bob had concerns of his own. He explained that the British police regarded the use of sniffer dogs as intelligence rather than evidence, and he was perplexed at the apparent fixation of the PJ on the idea that Madeleine had died in the apartment. He told Jerry he thought they'd get a shock when the forensic results came back. The next day, Jerry rang Ken Jones, head of ACPO, the Association of Chief Police Officers. He too was beginning to despair of the investigation and the way it was being handled. It was good to know we weren't alone and that we weren't going totally mad. But why wouldn't anyone speak out about this? Many people in top positions were saying the right things to us privately, but it seems nobody could or would do anything about it. If someone has stood up and said, stop, this is all wrong, things could have been very different. This is, of course, again, trying to discredit the PJ and also mostly trying to discredit the dog's findings. And I want to emphasize here, and I'll go back to it, Bob was perplexed at the apparent fixation of the PJ on the idea that Madeleine had died in the apartment. He told Jerry he thought they'd get a shock when the forensic results came back. So the use of sniffer dogs, anybody with a brain, I'm not trying to offend anybody, I'm just saying anybody with a brain knows that those sniffer dogs, as reliable as they are, that cannot be considered evidence simply because the police anyway needs to investigate after the dog's findings. So it's not the dog's job to say what cadaver was there, whose blood was there, or anything like that. It's the police's job to pick up after the dog's findings and to build up the case around the dog's findings with supporting evidence. This is not rocket science. It's also known, but no one can say that these dogs are not reliable. These dogs are very reliable, and the cadaver dog actually was trained on a body farm in the US with dead bodies, with teeth, with bones, with skin, including with pigs as well. So the dog was not trained only on pigs, the dog was trained on human bodies in various stages of decomposition. So for whoever says that those dogs are unreliable, please do your research properly, because those dogs are not unreliable. It's not the dog's job to prove that a person committed a crime. The dog's job is to sniff and point at whatever the dog finds. So whatever she is, I know what she's trying to do in her book. She's trying to discredit the dog's findings, of course, and she's already saying that the PJ will be surprised at the forensic results without even having gotten the results yet. Yeah, that's another one. And yeah, basically, more or less trying to discredit the dogs and the Portuguese police for not having done their job properly. And also that nobody is standing up to them. Nobody is standing up to them. This is a clear indication that she is trying to gain sympathy with this, with what she's saying here. She's trying to gain the public's sympathy to say, Oh, I'm so sorry for the Mccanns because nobody out there is supporting them. Nobody is helping them. So the police is wrong. The police is not doing their job properly. The blah blah and blah blah. You know what I'm saying? It's like it is like this in my opinion, the way I see it. Oh my God, I'm getting so wind up right now. Let's jump on the comments right now because I need to cool off a bit here. Carrie is saying I may have to find this book, although I don't want to pay for it. That's the reason. That's one of the reasons why I didn't want to read it, because I simply don't want to pay for it for obvious reasons. Jackie is saying, "Oh my God, this is so disgusting and disturbing about any child, let alone her own child. It's way weird from the start. They were pushing pedophile abduction. Yes, they were pushing the abduction from the start. Yes, I completely agree." Carrie saying this book sounds exactly like truths coming out everywhere. Yes, yes. JD saying this book is all about Kate and the McCann's family nomad. If you read the full book, it's me, 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 as all to do how she felt, never mentioned if Madeleine is okay or being looked after. I completely agree, JD. Yes, I am of the same opinion like you. The book is me, 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 Kate, 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 Kate. No, Madeleine, no. Very little that Madeleine is important in the book, if any. Carrie saying the dogs prove they lied. Yes, I agree with that as well. Oh, next one is a good one as well. So, page 250, Ricardo Paiva. Each time a dog gave a signal, Ricardo would pause the video and inform me that blood had been found in this site and that the DNA from the sample matched Madeleine's. He would stare at me intently and ask me to explain this. These were the only times I didn't respond with a no comment. Instead, I said I couldn't explain it, but neither could he. I remember feeling such disdain for Ricardo at this point. What was he doing? I thought just following orders. Under my breath, I found myself whispering, effing tosser, effing tosser. This quiet chant somehow kept me strong, kept me in control. This man did not deserve my respect. Effing tosser. So let me get this straight. So this man is helping with a dog who is potentially giving a signal that they found some sort of evidence or information of what might have happened to your daughter, but you don't think that this man deserves your respect. Why? Because he's questioning you. Really? I mean, is the purpose of this investigation not to help find your missing daughter? But the way she is saying in her book, Kate Mccann, is as if it's a very big inconvenience to her that this man dares to ask her questions. Like, really? I mean, is that how a parent's behavior should be when their child goes missing, and the dog is merely there to try and help their missing child? Honestly, no, she should have left it at no comment. I honestly, I can see why Kate Mccann doesn't want people to screenshot, share extracts from her book. Because of all the things that she's saying in her book, it's clear that she couldn't care less, in my opinion, about her own daughter, but more about her own image in the public's eye. Yeah, that's more or less, yeah. I'll keep it short and to the point. Her image in the public eyes. Because if her image in the public's eyes portrayed badly, then the public won't be as sympathetic to her pain, and they won't be donating much money to the fund. So the money in the fund, they need to keep going, right? So yeah, it does make sense in my head. So Robert is saying here to carry the dogs only confirm human cadaver and blood, nothing else. The inference is that they lied. Yes, the dogs can only confirm human cadaver and blood. The police's job to find more information and come up with a case, really, because the dogs can't say, "Oh, Madeleine's cadaver was there" or "Madeleine's blood was there." No, they can't say that, can they? And it only makes sense. It does make sense. Sue is asking also, Fraud said not to worry about the dogs. Why? Well, probably because they're already preparing to kill the dog's credibility, and they tried to do that, didn't they? So did it work? Well, up to one point it worked, because when one of the dogs tried to work on a different case in I think it was the Isle of Jersey, if I remember correctly. Um, who let the dog do the searches. They're very reluctant to the dog after hearing the story of the McCanns, but they still allow the dog to go and search, and the dog actually proved that it's a very reliable dog. So although they tried to discredit the dogs, they did manage in a way that they gave people the first impression that the dogs are not reliable. However, they also proved Jerry wrong, because they were reliable even after in convicting various criminals. So, JD is saying, where is the profit going from the book at, and how much has the book made in total so far? Anyone know? I am not sure, honestly, JD. I don't know. Maybe Sue has more information, because I tried to find, but I couldn't find. But if the book was serialized in the Sun, as I mentioned at the beginning of the live, it means that the book's rights were sold to the newspaper. So I am not sure if they are still making any money from the book. I am not sure 100%. I tried to find out, but I couldn't find out. There is company accounts, the latest one, which was published, but it doesn't say specifically about anything about the sales of the book. Let me see, maybe I can find out. JD. So according to this article, which was from, this is from Daily Record, and this article was published on 10th of January 2020, so 1 year ago. It says here, Madeleine Mccann book royalties dry up after mom Kate donates just 1,239 to the search fund. So after reportedly she provided more than £84,000 in post-tax royalties just the year before, so in 2019. So from 2019 to 2020, it dropped down to £1,239 for the royalties of the book. Much more than this, I don't think that there is. I'll double check. Pounds. Okay, I'm going to check the company's house. Sue about it will be in the accounts history. Okay, let me double check. Right, so the most updated accounts is made up to 31st of March 2020. Let me see if they show something here. I can, after I find it. I don't even know how to read this, honestly. Reserves, liabilities, no, not liabilities. It doesn't really say any, let's see. Additions, revaluations, dividends, creditors, yeah. There is nothing in the annual accounts. I did. Okay, let's see the link. So you didn't put up any link there. Oh yes, I got it now. I got it. So okay, I've seen where it's written. Okay, let me share this with you guys. So I am looking at the financial year ended 31st of March 2020. I'm going to share with you the screen. Let's hide this. Hey, why is it not working? What's happening here? Okay, let's share the screen here. Doesn't work. I can't do it. Why not? Why can I not do it? Can I refresh? No, I can't show you on the screen, guys. Sorry, I'm streaming software and it doesn't really allow me to make any changes. But I can read to you. Like I said, the accounts made up to 31st of March 2020. During the year, 6,543 was received from sale of the book Madeleine, Our Daughter's Disappearance, and the Continuing Search for Her, written by Kate Mccann, a director of the company, which was published in 2011 in the UK and certain countries. This is treated as restricted funds after deducting costs of 5,193 in respect of search fees. During the year, legal costs of 4,229 were reimbursed to the directors, Jerry and Kate Mccann, in relation to ongoing libel action in Portugal. So this is it. So the book made 6,543. So this is treated as restricted funds. And in their account, the restricted funds are 630,642 pounds. I'm not exactly 100% sure what restricted funds means, but I assume that these are funds they cannot touch for a reason or another. I think you can't see the link probably because I have another link here. This is the financial history for the company. So if you press on the accounts for a small company, the latest one, you can see a PDF there. I can't share the link of the PDF because it's too long and we only have 200 characters. So I'm assuming that's one of the reasons. Yes, it's yeah, because I think that the link for the actual PDF is too long for the characters. I tried myself to share the link for the PDF. Okay, anyway, I think that let me see if there is anything else in the comments. Okay, I want to move on to the next chapter that I want to, well, a part of the chapter. So, page 273. On the night Madeleine was taken, you may remember, Jerry and I had been very concerned that Sean and Emily had hardly moved in their cots. let alone woken up, despite the commotion in the apartment. Since Madeleine was snatched, apparently without making a sound, we had always suspected that all three children might have been sedated by the abductor. We mentioned this to the police that night and several more times in the following weeks, but no testing of urine, blood or hair, which could have revealed the presence of drugs, had ever been done. Okay, now, as far as I understand, the police did try to test Sean and Emily, and they asked the parents, and the parents refused. Only after 3 months, Kate offered for the PJ to test Sean and Emily. Now, I am not exactly 100% sure which is which one is the truth and which one is the lie, but on the assumption that, let's say, for example, when the police requested and the McCanns refused, there could have been the reason why they refused because they sedated the children, so they knew, them being doctors, that the police will find traces in the blood results, and it's possible that 3 months she offered for Sean and Emily to be tested, they knew that after 3 months there won't be any traces in the system. So now this one, the next bit I'm going to read you is another thing which in my opinion shouldn't have place in a book like this. So I want to read you now from page 275. After Madeleine was taken from us, my sexual desire plummeted to zero. Our sex life is not something I would normally be inclined to share, and yet it is such an integral part of most marriages that it doesn't feel right not to acknowledge this. I'm sure other couples who have been through traumatic experiences will have suffered similarly, and perhaps it will reassure them to know that they are not alone. To those fortunate enough not to have encountered such heartache, I hope it gives an insight into just how deep the wounds go. Apart from our general state of shock and distress and the fact that I couldn't concentrate on anything but Madeleine, there were two continuing reasons for this, I believe. The first was my inability to permit myself any pleasure, whether it was reading a book. Hold on a second. Something went wrong here. Why? Yeah. Oh yes, that's it. That's it. Actually, I thought I missed something. Okay. So, apart from our apart from our general state of shock and distress, and the fact that I couldn't concentrate on anything but Madeline, there were two continuing reasons for this, I believe. The first was my inability to permit myself any pleasure, whether it was reading a book or making love with my husband. The second stemmed from the revulsion stirred up by my fear that Madeleine had suffered the worst fate we could imagine, falling into the hands of a pedophile. When she was first stolen, pedophiles were all we could think about, and it made us sick, ate away at us. The idea of a monster like this touching my daughter, stroking her, defiling her perfect little body just killed me over and over again. It didn't make any difference that this might not be the explanation for Madeleine's abduction, and please God, it isn't. The fact that it was a possibility was enough to prevent me from shutting it out of my mind. Tortured as I was by these nauseating images, It's probably not surprising that even the thought of sex repulsed me. Oh my goodness me. I would lie in bed hating the person who had done this to us, the person who had taken away our little girl and terrified her, the person who had caused these additional problems for me and the man I loved. I hated him. I wanted to kill him. I wanted to inflict the maximum pain possible on him for heaping all this misery on my family. I was angry and bitter, and I wanted it all to go away. I wanted my old life back. I worried about Jerry and me. I worried that if I couldn't get our sex life back on track, our whole relationship would break down. I know there is more to a relationship than sex, but it is still an important element. It was vital that we stayed together and stayed strong for our family. Jerry was incredibly understanding and supportive. He never made me feel guilty, he never pushed me, and he never got sulky. In fact, sometimes he would apologize to me. Invariably, he would put a big, reassuring arm around me and tell me that he loved me and not to worry. Oh my God, when I thought that I heard everything with the other part, which is really revolting to hear and read, this one here, what does your sexual relationship has to do with your own missing child? How does that help in finding Madeleine? How does that help in Sean and Emily reading your version of the truth? By reading about your sexual relationship or lack of sexual relationship, what in God's name is wrong with these people? Honestly, this it is disgusting, disgusting. I don't know. I am speechless, honestly. Honestly, I am speechless. The idea of a monster like this touching my daughter, stroking her, defiling her perfect little body just kill me over and over again. What the hell is wrong with you to talk like this about your own daughter who just went missing? This is unbelievable. It really is. Then, tortured as I was by these nauseating images, it's probably not surprising that even the thought of sex repulsed me. What does that have anything to do with your own sex life? Even if there would be the case that your child was abducted by a pedophile, what does that have to do with your own sex life or lack of it? Who is interested in reading that? Am I interested in reading that? No, I'm not. Who is interested in reading about your own, I'm saying again, sexual life? Is just, oh, oh my God. Ah. JD is saying CK talking about her own sex life rather than Maddie. Why, as a parent, would you write about sex life if the book is for Maddie? Exactly. That was my point as well. Why? Why? When you claim that this book is to try in any possible way to find Madeleine, your own daughter, why do you have to write about yourself and your most intimate things? You know what? If you want to write an 18 plus book, then just bloody go and write it. You know what I'm saying? But don't pretend and say that this book is for your own missing child, and yet you reference so many things which are of sexual nature in a book which is supposed to be for your other two children to read. Oh my God, no, I cannot grasp this, honestly. Thank you, Carl. Thank you for that. agree with that as well. It seems like another embedded confession, yes. So narcissistic to the extreme, completely, yes. Jackie is saying this is so messed up beyond words. Her actions hardly scream parent of a missing child. What about poor Madeleine and the twins? It is disgusting. It is disgusting to say the least. I can't even find the words. I can't find the words. Bernadette is also saying, if I thought my child was with monsters, I wouldn't put mine or anyone else's feelings into consideration. Exactly. Does it really matter that you don't have sex for 3 months, for 5 months, for 3 years, for 5 years? Your kid went missing. You have no idea what happened with that kid. Potentially, your child is in danger. Would even think about sex anymore, really, honestly? Come on. It's horrible, horrible. I don't know about you guys, but after reading these quotes from the book, I don't even know if I even have the slightest interest in reading the book, even if it would be free to read. I think I would get so wound up that I would just stop reading altogether. Okay, I'm going to move on to page 290. This is a very short one. We have taken action against one or two websites, but it had proved almost impossible to get stuff removed from some of them, particularly those hosted in the USA. Friends flag up some of the worst offenders for us, but in the end, it comes down to picking your battles. Aware over the years the McCanns or their friends or whoever that might be helping the McCanns have scored through the internet, scanned everything they could possibly scan, and they were trying to get rid of anything which was inconvenient to them. Now, from what she says in the book, apparently the USA it's more inaccessible. Excuse me. And I think that there might be a reason behind this. I don't think that they have as many connections in the US as they do in the UK. So potentially they can't really ask people in the US for help because they don't have as many connections there as they do in the UK. So this could potentially be a reason why they can't really touch those in the US. Now, friends flag up some of the worst offenders for us. So you see, there will be those people who I don't know if she refers to them as their genuine circle of friends or just people who are sympathetic to the McCanns and they possibly alert them somehow. But in either one of these situations, we need to, be aware that there are people who are actually monitoring still for the McCanns and reporting back to the McCanns. So it's not such a fantasy as one would have thought before. She's even saying this in her book. Like I said, I'm not sure which kind of friends she is referring to, but either way, there are people scanning as they were. That's why this is one of the reasons why you can find something and in 1 or 2, 3 weeks you won't be able to find the same thing unless you saved it. And us who are doing research and have been doing research for some time, we are quite lucky that people over the years, whenever they found something quite interesting or telling around the Madeleine Mccann case, they took a screenshot, they saved, they did whatever they did, but they saved the information. It is very hard nowadays to find the information you are looking for. Me, when I'm doing my research, I'm always struggling really, really hard to find the information I need. So there it is, right there in her book. Saying here, sounds like she wrote that for Jerry to keep him happy. Yeah, you know what? Yes, yes. You have a point there. Yeah, she might have done that to keep him happy. Yes, you never know. Yeah. Obviously, she won't be able to write her real feelings about her husband in a book, which is to the public. And obviously, I'm pretty sure that he read the book as well. So obviously, she didn't want to say anything bad about him. So she was saying always that he's supportive and stuff like that. So yeah. Sue is saying if they thought their daughter was alive, they wouldn't care about what anyone was saying. They would be out there searching day in and day out. Yes, I completely agree with you. When you are the parent of a missing child and you are not guilty of absolutely nothing, then you couldn't care less about whatever people are talking behind your back or talking about you, or whatever ideas people make, because at that point your only worry and your only concern is to find your missing child. So to me, all they did was justify their own actions, trying to shift the blame from themselves to somebody else, trying to get rid of anything that anybody put out there online or otherwise, which went against their own version of events, which is quite telling, honestly. JD saying Kate's book should be called 50 Shades of Kate, in my opinion. Yes, yes, I agree on that. Yeah. Okay, I want to move on to the next one. Page 321. We were pleasantly surprised by the prosecutor's conclusions and by how emphatic he was about the lack of any evidence to suggest either that Madeleine was dead or that we were involved in her disappearance. For several months, we'd been concerned that if the case was closed, it might be closed in a way that left a dark cloud of suspicion hanging over us. So this came as a big relief. Initially, though, I was a little skeptical as to how much use the PJ's files were likely to be to us, bearing in mind that latterly, at least the principal focus of their inquiry seemed to have been Jerry and me. So here she talks, I'm assuming that here she talks about when they decided to shelf I'm quite sure. I think, yeah. But the one thing which is really, really striking for me is this. For several months, we've been concerned that if the case was closed, it might be closed in a way that left a dark cloud of suspicion hanging over us. So this came as a big relief. So again, it clearly shows that they are only interested about how the public perceives them. So they don't, again, their worry is not that the case is shelved without Madeleine being found. They are more worried that there is about the cloud of suspicion hanging over their heads. Like, who the hell cares about that, you know, when you have a missing child? Who cares about the cloud of suspicion above your head? Whatever, you know. But again, it's about them. It's about her. It's about her husband. Nothing to do with Madeleine whatsoever. Oh, Carl here has a really good point. I'm going to read the comment. Do you know what makes me sick? It's painful, and I'm ashamed to say this. What if she was alive and saw all this stuff Kate wrote about her? It would break her heart. Carl, honestly, I 100% agree with you. I'm pretty sure that this would definitely break her heart. And all the things that they've done over the years to try and justify their actions and themselves. And And I am not sure what's happening with Sean and Emily, because I think that they are keeping them outside of the public eye. But I believe that at this point, well, I'm quite sure at this point they are at a certain age where they can find out stuff by themselves. They can go online and they can find different stuff. Now, I am wondering, what is their honest opinion? Do they really believe their parents, or do they really believe that their parents had something to do with Madeleine's disappearance? This is very, I would really, really love to find out, but obviously there's no way I can do that. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the last page I'm going to read you from, 341. Amaral's appeal was heard in December in Lisbon, over 5 days that ended up being spread over 3 consecutive months. Jerry and I felt it was important, essential even, for us to attend to represent Madeleine. She needed somebody there for her. She was the victim in this, not Gonzalo Amaral. I also needed to see the whites of Senor Amaral's eyes. We flew out to Portugal on 10th of December. Not sure how I feel about seeing Mr. Amaral for the first time ever, I hasten to add. I know I'm not scared, but that man has caused us so much upset and anger because of how he has treated my beautiful Madeleine and the search to find her. He deserves to be miserable and feel fear. So this is the last page I'm going to read from Kate Mccann's book. This is very important. The last page I read as well. So here she is referring to the appeal in December in Lisbon around his book, I assume. So it's very excuse me, it's very funny, but then it's not funny. But it's funny because she says that she needed somebody to be there for her. Madeleine needed somebody to be there for her in court. She was the victim in this, not Gonzalo Amaral. I also needed to see the whites of Senor Amaral's eyes. And then also, I know I'm not scared, but that man has caused us so much upset and anger because of how he has treated my beautiful Madeleine and the search to find her. You know what? The way he treated Madeleine. He was trying to find out what happened with Madeleine, and the fact that he blamed the parents for her death, this is what they didn't like. Yet she keeps mentioning here that that's why they went to court in Lisbon to see Amaral for Madeleine, but they didn't go to court for Madeleine because this in court was nothing to do with Madeleine. It was all to do with Amaral and his book and everything that he found during his investigation. And that is what they didn't like. That is what Kate and Jerry Mccann didn't like. And that's why they wanted to go to Portugal. They wanted to be in court and see his face. It had absolutely nothing to do with Madeleine, in my opinion. And then she says he deserves to be miserable and feel fear. Why? Why should he feel fear? Why should anyone feel fear? Why? Because they are the McCanns? Who are the McCanns anyway? You know what I mean? He should, well, they made him miserable, didn't they? They did make him miserable. That's one true. And they broke his marriage. His family life was never the same after the Madeleine McCann investigation. He also felt fear. He did feel fear, especially when he went with his own daughter at the holiday house when they went, and he found his dog dead in front of the house. And I believe that, in my opinion, that was a message for him that hold on, if you don't stop, something might happen, something worse might happen. So I think that that was just a warning for him. So yeah, I'm going to go and catch up on the comments right now. But what exactly do you need? Do you need my Facebook page? My Facebook page is around true crime in general, and it's connected to my YouTube channel. I can give you my Facebook page. Hold on, just give me a moment. Um, that is the Facebook group that I am an admin on. The Facebook group that I am an admin on, it's a group on crime, true crime, and we talk about Madeleine Mccann as well. So I can give you the link for the group as well. But please make sure if you do want to join the group, you will need to answer the questions. We are very selective in terms of who we have on the group. So this is the group. Okay, let's see the comments on here. So JD is saying to Carl Douglas, nobody knows what Maddie looks like. She could be the person across the street. Nobody will know. As no age picture after 7 or 9 age of Maddie. Yes, I agree. Honestly, she could be the person sitting next to you on the train, on the bus, or wherever, because you would never recognize her. It's so I think that they did this on purpose. They had an age progression of her, yet even now in the media and everywhere you look, you only see the photos of her when she was 3 or when she was younger, or the age progression photo when she was 8, I believe. I'm not entirely sure, 7 or 8, something like that. But there's nothing. Why wouldn't they go and do another age progression photo? Because she's going to be 18 in May. It's hardly similar to being 7. Then they are also still asking information if anyone saw her. So how can people spot her and see her if there is no recent photo of her or an age progression photo? So he's saying, where were Maddie's parents when she needed them? But it's okay to blame Amaral for everything. Yeah, well, you see that they did blame Amaral for everything, and the Portuguese police, and they made it in such a way in the public's eyes that they are incompetent and they are not helping them. Jackie is saying, I definitely would agree. It is sick how Kate and Jerry are more concerned about keeping up appearances than searching for Madeline. Also, Kate wouldn't answer questions. Yes, the big one about the questions. She didn't answer, and she always implied that she didn't answer the questions because her lawyer advised her not to answer the questions. Yet, Jerry McCann answered the questions from the PJs. So, what can that tell you? That what it tells me is that she didn't answer the 48 questions because she knew that if she will answer them, she will crumble and she will spill the beans. Yet, Jerry McCann, we know him, how he behaves and how he reacts in general. He is an individual who is very hard to read, and also he's very composed and he controls himself a lot. And because he is so arrogant, that's why he answered the questions, because he knew that he can control himself. Where on the opposite end, Kate didn't think that she can control herself, so she refused to answer the questions. Okay, guys, I want to show you. Well, I won't be able to show you now. How can I do it now? I can't do anything on here. Why is this photo still showing up here? Because it shouldn't. Well, actually, it's not showing on your. That's interesting. I think my software is frozen. Okay, so I can. There is one thing, guys, which I want to show you. I don't know if you knew about that, but I want to show you something here. I'm talking about another book. So I'll just take a screenshot and then I will show you. Where is it? Excuse me. I don't know if you guys can see it. Oh no, it's not working for some reason. Let's see. I don't know how to show you because I don't have my phone with me either. Okay, Carl, good night. Sorry, I'm having a bit of an issue here with the streaming software. I wanted to show you something, but it seems that I cannot show you what I want. Oh, for God's sake, why is it always happening? I was saying it too early when I started this live. So, how can I do it now? I can't do it, can I? No. Okay, I cannot show you. I can't show you for some reason. I have no idea why I can't show you. So I'm just going to, if you don't mind, guys, please, I'll send you a link. And if you can just have a look at the photo and tell me what do you think. Okay, here goes the link. Could you please just click on this link? There is a book on there and check out the author. It says here that the author is Kate Mccann. This is very confusing. I'm quite confused at this. So I just wanted to ask you guys if is it really Kate Mccann who wrote this book, Free to Love? This is really, really weird. I'm sorry that I cannot show you on the screen, but for some reason I cannot show anything in the stream here on my streaming software. Did you guys see the link? Did you guys see the book? And then there is also another link which I'm going to send you. So if you go on Google, for example, and you search Kate Mccann book, I will give you the, if I can give you the link, I don't know. Let's see if it's not too long, maybe. Yeah, no. So if Kate Mccann book, you will see that there are two books written by Kate Mccann. Madeleine, Our Daughter's Disappearance, published in 2011, and another book, Free to Love, by the same author, published in 2015. It strikes me so strange that she could have written this book, Free to Love, and coincidentally, the book is about a doctor and herself as well, and how she fell in love with a doctor, just like in real life. This book on Amazon has got horrible, horrible reviews, honestly. Has anyone checked the link on there just to let me know what you think? Yeah, so that's what I thought as well. But then I Googled it, and even on Google, it shows that she's the author of both books. So honestly, I'm a bit confused. I didn't think to be her, really. I'm going to try and find it a different way. Hmm. All I can see Kate McCann on Google is her. I honestly do not know. Yes, streaming software. I can't do anything on it. Okay, guys, so if you have any questions, I think I have finished covering what I wanted to talk about the book. Any last questions before I end the live? If you can leave them in the chat section, I'll give you guys a couple of minutes. Oh, JD, Angelo couldn't make it because Caleb, he wasn't sleeping very well. So, yes, sadly, so he's saying, yeah, it looks like it is in fact the same Kate McCann. Well, I never. it's it's honestly it is unbelievable. But have you seen the really bad reviews that she's got on Amazon? Apparently, it's a really bad book. Jackie is saying, I looked up books by Kate McCann books and it appears to be the same Kate McCann. Yeah, I did look up that as well. I honestly don't know what to think. Is it really her who wrote this book as well? I have no idea. Beth Flynn is saying, I see but can't believe it. Is it true that Rowling's helped her write the first book? Yes, it is true. I mentioned this at the beginning of my video. So it turns out that J.K. Rowling gave Kate advice and support as she wrote details of the night her daughter vanished from their holiday apartment. From yes. So J.K. Rowling was heavily involved in the search for Madeleine, and she even offered £1 million reward to find Madeleine. She also donated to the fund set up to help with the search. And J.K. Rowling even arranged for a poster featuring Madeleine to be made available to book retailers across the globe. And also in November 2010, she helped Kate and Jerry to secure their book deal. She even suggested they use her literary agent, Christopher Little, who arranged the publishing contract with Transworld. But this is not everything because J.K. Rowling was also very good friend with Gordon Brown at, at the time. And it turns out that in 2008, J.K. Rowling even donated £1 million to the Labour Party campaign. So it's not surprising that she supported the McCanns if there is a connection with Gordon Brown as well. So he's saying published in 2015, writing novellas, but your daughter's still missing, apparently. I know. I know. She believed that because she had so many sales on the Madeleine book that she's now an author and she can write whatever and she can make more money. All right, everyone. So I think I'm ready to end the live. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me live tonight. I'm hoping that I will see you with another live next week. Thank you so much, JD, for your help and your support and for spreading the word. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please do so. The subscribe button is right below. You also have the link pinned at the top of this live chat section. And share, share, share. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay safe and good night, or have a lovely day if you are not in the UK. And bye bye for now. Bye.